Good evening, my weary academics, and welcome to History to Sleep By, where we nerd out and conk out. If you enjoy calm, narrated history documentaries, or just need a reliable friend to help with restless nights, please subscribe, leave a like, and maybe share a comment about what's happening in your life. That way, you'll always find your way back to us. Now let's begin tonight's journey. In the late 1770s, the British found themselves seeking a new approach in the American Revolutionary War. The Northern campaigns had not yielded the decisive victory they hoped for, so their gaze turned southward. The Southern strategy was born, aiming to rally Loyalist support and regain control of the rebellious colonies from the bottom up. The capture of Savannah in late 1778 marked the beginning of this new focus. The British, under General Sir Henry Clinton, planned to capitalize on their success in Georgia and extend their influence into South Carolina. Admiral Marriott Arbuthnot supported this endeavor with a fleet ready to challenge American defenses from the sea. Charleston, South Carolina, stood as a significant target. Nestled on a peninsula between the Ashley and Cooper Rivers, the city was a vital port and symbol of resistance. Major General Benjamin Lincoln commanded the American forces tasked with defending this strategic location. Charleston's defenses included lines across the Charleston Neck, outlying works, and posts like Fort Moultrie on Sullivan's Island. The geography offered both challenges and opportunities for the defenders and attackers alike. Communications over the Cooper River were crucial for the Americans as they sought to maintain connections with the surrounding countryside. In early 1780, the British expedition set its sights on Charleston. Clinton's forces landed on Seabrook and John's Islands, moving steadily toward the Charleston Neck. The British fleet, under Arbuthnot, navigated the treacherous entrance over the bar into the harbor, a maneuver that positioned them to support the land forces. The siege began in earnest, with the British constructing parallels and batteries to tighten their grip on the city. The investment was gradual but relentless, as the British aimed to cut off the city from external aid. The American defenders, aware of their precarious position, attempted to hold the outer defenses. They engaged in cavalry and partisan activities beyond the main works, seeking to disrupt British operations. However, the British were methodical in their advance. They moved north of the Cooper River, capturing posts on the east bank and further isolating Charleston. The siege tightened and the bombardment began. The British artillery pounded the city, while the Americans responded with counter-battery fire. Inside the city, the garrison faced dwindling supplies and morale. The civilian population added to the strain as food and resources became scarce. Negotiations for surrender began as the situation grew dire. On May 12, 1780, the inevitable conclusion arrived. The American forces, unable to break the siege or receive reinforcements, capitulated. The British captured approximately 500 prisoners, including Continental regulars, militia, and seamen. The surrender also saw the loss of numerous guns and military material. The fall of Charleston marked a significant blow to the American cause. It was a major city and port, and its loss led to the collapse of organized Continental resistance in South Carolina for a time. The British victory opened the door for further operations in the southern interior. It was a moment of triumph for Clinton and his forces as they established a foothold in the region. Yet, the Southern strategy, while initially successful, would face challenges in the months and years to come. For now, the capture of Charleston stood as a testament to British resolve and a reminder of the war's shifting tides. As the night deepens and your eyes grow heavy, let the story of the Siege of Charleston gently guide you to rest. The echoes of history, like the soft rustling of leaves, remind us of the past's enduring presence. Sleep well, dear listener, and dream of peaceful shores and quiet harbors. Until next time, when we embark on another journey through the annals of time. The British victory at Charleston marked a pivotal moment in the Revolutionary War. With the city firmly in their grasp, the British forces turned their attention to consolidating control over the southern colonies. The capture of Charleston was not merely a military triumph. It was a strategic move designed to rally Loyalist support and weaken the resolve of the Patriot cause. The British believed that the southern colonies harbored a significant number of loyalists who would rise to support the crown once given the opportunity. This belief, however, would soon be tested in the rugged landscapes and among the fiercely independent settlers of the South. As the British settled into Charleston, their presence was both a symbol of authority and a source of tension. The city, with its cobblestone streets and colonial architecture, became a hub of military activity. British soldiers patrolled the streets, their red coats a stark contrast to the muted tones of the cityscape. The occupation brought with it a sense of unease among the residents, many of whom had lived through the early years of the war with a mixture of hope and apprehension. Now, under British control, the city faced new challenges. The British command, led by General Henry Clinton and later by Lord Cornwallis, sought to extend their influence beyond the city. They aimed to disrupt the Patriot supply lines and dismantle the resistance that had taken root in the southern backcountry. The strategy relied heavily on the assumption that loyalist militias would rise to support the British efforts. However, the reality on the ground proved more complex. The southern backcountry was a patchwork of allegiances, with families and communities often divided in their loyalties. The war in the South was not just a clash between armies, it was a civil war, with neighbors and even kin finding themselves on opposing sides. In the months following the fall of Charleston, the British forces ventured into the interior, seeking to assert their dominance. Yet they encountered a landscape that was as challenging as it was unfamiliar. The dense forests and swamps provided cover for Patriot guerrilla fighters who employed hit-and-run tactics to harass the British troops. These fighters, led by figures such as Francis Marion, known as the Swamp Fox, became a thorn in the side of the British campaign. Their knowledge of the terrain and ability to strike swiftly and then disappear into the wilderness frustrated the British efforts to maintain control. As the British pushed deeper into the South, they found that the anticipated wave of Loyalist support was not as forthcoming as they had hoped. Many Loyalists were reluctant to commit fully to the British cause, fearing retribution from their Patriot neighbors. The British, in turn, found themselves stretched thin, their resources taxed by the demands of maintaining control over a vast and often hostile territory. The Southern strategy, while initially promising, began to show signs of strain. Meanwhile, the American forces, though battered and dispersed, were far from defeated. Under the leadership of General Nathaniel Greene, the Continental Army embarked on a campaign to reclaim the South. Greene, a master of strategy, understood the importance of mobility and the need to avoid direct confrontation with the superior British forces. Instead, he employed a strategy of attrition, engaging in a series of battles that, while not always victorious, wore down the British and stretched their supply lines. The Southern campaign became a series of cat-and-mouse maneuvers, with Greene's forces nipping at the heels of the British, forcing them to chase an elusive enemy. Battles such as those at Cowpens and Guilford Courthouse demonstrated the effectiveness of Greene's tactics. Though the British often claimed victory on the battlefield, the cost in men and material was high. Each engagement left the British more vulnerable, their grip on the South increasingly tenuous. As the war dragged on, the British found themselves isolated in a hostile land, their hopes of a swift victory fading. The Southern strategy, once seen as a key to ending the rebellion, had become a quagmire. The landscape that had seemed ripe for conquest now resisted their every move. The resolve of the American forces, bolstered by the support of the local population, proved stronger than the British had anticipated. In the quiet moments of the night, as the fires burned low and the soldiers rested, the weight of the campaign pressed heavily on the minds of the British commanders. The war, with its shifting fronts and uncertain outcomes, was far from over. Yet, in the stillness, there was also a sense of determination, a recognition that the struggle for the South was a test of endurance as much as of arms. As the stars wheeled overhead, the story of the Southern campaign continued to unfold, a testament to the resilience and tenacity of those who fought for their beliefs. And so, as you drift into slumber, let the whispers of history cradle you, carrying you gently into dreams of bygone days and distant battles. In the early hours, as dawn's first light began to touch the horizon, the camp stirred with a quiet energy. The soldiers, weary from the previous day's exertions, rose slowly, their movements deliberate and measured. The air was cool, carrying with it the scent of dew-laden grass and the faint aroma of wood smoke. The landscape around them, once vibrant with the colors of autumn, now lay subdued under a blanket of mist, softening the harsh lines of the battlefield. In these moments before the sun fully rose, the world seemed to hold its breath. The men gathered around small fires, their faces illuminated by the flickering flames. Conversations were muted, filled with the practicalities of the day ahead. They spoke of strategies and supplies, of letters from home, and the longing for peace. Yet, beneath these surface concerns, there was an unspoken bond, a shared understanding of the trials they faced and the hopes they harbored. As the sun climbed higher, its light pierced the fog, revealing the contours of the land. The fields, scarred by the passage of armies, stretched out before them, a reminder of the conflict's toll. The trees, their leaves now fallen, stood like sentinels, witnesses to the unfolding drama. In the distance, the sounds of preparation echoed, the clatter of hooves, the creak of wagons, the clink of metal on metal. The commanders, too, were at work, poring over maps and dispatches, their expressions grave. They knew the challenges that lay ahead, the need to outmaneuver their opponents, to anticipate their moves and counter them effectively. The Southern campaign was a complex tapestry, woven from the threads of strategy and chance, of courage and sacrifice. Each decision carried weight, each action rippled through the ranks, shaping the course of events in ways both seen and unseen. In the midst of this, the local population played a crucial role. Their knowledge of the terrain, their willingness to support the cause, provided an invaluable advantage. They offered guidance and sustenance, shelter and intelligence, their contributions often unseen but deeply felt. It was a partnership forged in necessity, a testament to the interconnectedness of those who shared this land. As the day unfolded, the rhythm of the camp quickened. Orders were given, formations assembled, and the soldiers prepared to move. The sun, now high in the sky, cast long shadows across the ground, marking the passage of time. The air hummed with anticipation, a sense of purpose infusing every action. There was a recognition that each step taken, each mile covered, brought them closer to their goal. Yet, amidst the bustle, there was also a moment for reflection. The men paused to consider the journey that had brought them here, the challenges overcome, and the trials yet to come. They thought of their comrades, those who had fallen, and those who still fought beside them. They remembered the ideals that had spurred them to action, the vision of a future they hoped to secure. As the sun began its descent, casting a golden glow over the landscape, the camp settled once more into a quieter rhythm. The day's work done, the soldiers gathered again around their fires, their conversations turning to lighter topics. Laughter mingled with the crackle of flames, a balm for weary spirits. Stories were shared, songs sung, a momentary respite from the realities of war. In the fading light, the commanders met once more, their discussions focused and intense. They reviewed the day's events, assessed their position, and planned for the days ahead. The Southern campaign was a complex dance, requiring both boldness and caution, a delicate balance of aggression and restraint. They knew the stakes, understood the cost, and yet remained committed to their course. As darkness fell, the camp quieted, the fires burning low. The soldiers, wrapped in their blankets, lay beneath the stars, their thoughts drifting like the smoke above them. They dreamed of home, of loved ones waiting, of a time when the war would be but a memory. The night enveloped them, a cloak of silence and stillness, a reminder of the vastness of the world and the smallness of their place within it. And so, as you find your own place of rest, let the echoes of their journey accompany you. Let the strength and courage of those who walked before you guide your dreams, a gentle reminder of the enduring spirit of those who have faced the trials of history. As you close your eyes, feel the warmth of the fire, hear the murmur of voices, and let the past weave its way into your slumber, a tapestry of resilience and hope. The night stretched on, a quiet sentinel over the sleeping soldiers. The moon cast a gentle glow, illuminating the landscape with a silvery light. Crickets chirped softly in the underbrush, their song a soothing lullaby that mingled with the distant rustle of leaves. The air was cool, carrying with it the scent of earth and pine, a reminder of the world beyond the battlefield. In this moment of peace, the men were free to dream, to imagine a future unburdened by the weight of conflict. As the hours passed, the stars wheeled slowly across the sky, their ancient light a testament to the passage of time. The soldiers, cocooned in their dreams, were unaware of the celestial dance above them. Their thoughts drifted to familiar places, to the warmth of a hearth, the laughter of children, the embrace of a loved one. These dreams were their refuge, a sanctuary from the harsh realities of war. In the stillness, the night held its breath, as if reluctant to disturb the fragile peace. The fire crackled softly, its embers glowing like tiny beacons in the darkness. The men lay in quiet repose, their faces relaxed, their breathing steady. The night was their ally, a silent guardian that shielded them from the fears and uncertainties of the day. Time slipped by, unnoticed, as the world turned beneath the stars. The night was a canvas, painted with the dreams of those who slept beneath its watchful eye. Each dream was a thread, woven into the fabric of the night, creating a tapestry of hope and longing. The soldiers were part of this tapestry, their dreams interwoven with those of countless others who had walked the same path. As dawn approached, the first light of day began to creep over the horizon, a soft glow that heralded the end of the night. The sky shifted from deep blue to a pale, ethereal hue, the stars fading one by one. The world stirred, awakening from its slumber as the promise of a new day beckoned. The soldiers, roused from their dreams, blinked sleepily in the early light. The night had been kind, granting them a brief respite from the burdens they carried. They stretched and yawned, shaking off the remnants of sleep, their minds slowly returning to the present. The fire, now reduced to glowing embers, whispered its final farewell, a reminder of the warmth it had provided. As they prepared to face the challenges of the day, the soldiers carried with them the echoes of the night. The dreams they had woven into the darkness lingered in their hearts, a source of strength and solace. They knew that the road ahead would not be easy, but the night had given them a gift, a reminder of what they fought for, of the lives they hoped to return to. The sun rose higher, casting its golden light over the landscape, bathing the world in a gentle warmth. The soldiers, now fully awake, gathered their belongings, ready to continue their journey. The night had passed, but its legacy remained, a quiet testament to the power of dreams and the resilience of the human spirit. As they set out, the soldiers carried with them the memory of the night, a talisman against the trials to come. The world was vast and uncertain, but in their hearts they held the promise of a brighter future. The night had shown them the way, a path illuminated by the light of hope and the strength of those who had walked before them. The journey continued, each step a testament to their courage and determination. The soldiers moved forward, guided by the dreams that had sustained them through the night. They were part of a larger story, a chapter in the history of those who had faced adversity and emerged stronger for it. The night had been their companion, a silent witness to their dreams, and as they marched on, its memory lingered, a gentle reminder of the enduring spirit of those who dared to dream. As dawn broke, the soldiers found themselves enveloped in the soft hues of morning light. The air was crisp, carrying with it the scent of dew-kissed earth and the faint promise of a new day. Their footsteps, steady and resolute, marked the rhythm of their progression through the landscape. Each step was a whisper of resolve, echoing the silent vows made under the canopy of stars. The terrain stretched before them, a patchwork of fields and forests, each with its own story etched into the soil. The soldiers moved as one, their unity forged in the crucible of shared experiences and common purpose. The path ahead was uncertain, yet the soldiers drew strength from the knowledge that they were not alone. They were part of a lineage, a continuum of souls who had faced the unknown with courage. The stories of those who had come before them were woven into the very fabric of their being, guiding them like a compass through the fog of uncertainty. As they marched, their thoughts drifted to the figures of history who had walked similar paths, their legacies a beacon in the dim light of memory. The sun climbed higher, casting long shadows that danced upon the ground. The soldiers' minds were a tapestry of reflections, interwoven with the lessons of the past and the aspirations of the future. They recalled tales of ancient warriors who had traversed these lands, their deeds immortalized in the annals of history. These stories were not mere echoes of a bygone era, but living testaments to the resilience of the human spirit. The soldiers carried these narratives within them, a reservoir of inspiration that fueled their journey. As the day unfolded, the landscape transformed, revealing new vistas that beckoned with the promise of discovery. The soldiers embraced the change, their hearts open to the lessons that each new horizon might bring. They understood that the journey was as much about the inner transformation as it was about reaching a destination. Every step was a meditation, a moment to reflect on the values that defined them and the dreams that propelled them forward. The camaraderie among the soldiers was palpable, an unspoken bond that transcended words. They shared stories, laughter, and moments of quiet introspection, each interaction a thread in the intricate tapestry of their shared experience. In the silence between words, they found solace and strength, a reminder that they were part of something greater than themselves. The journey was a mosaic of individual paths converging into a singular purpose, a testament to the power of collective dreams. As the sun began its descent, casting a golden glow over the landscape, the soldiers paused to rest. They gathered around small fires, their faces illuminated by the flickering flames. The warmth of the fire was a comfort, a reminder of the light that had guided them through the darkness. In these moments of respite, they found time to reflect on the journey thus far and the road that lay ahead. The night sky, once again their canopy, was a familiar friend, its stars a silent chorus to their thoughts. The soldiers knew that the journey was far from over, that challenges awaited them beyond the horizon. Yet they were undeterred, their resolve as steadfast as the mountains that loomed in the distance. They had learned to draw strength from the land, from each other, and from the stories that had shaped their understanding of the world. The night was a canvas upon which they painted their dreams, a reminder that even in the darkest hours, there was light to be found. As sleep claimed them, the soldiers dreamed of the future they were forging with each step. They envisioned a world where the lessons of the past informed the choices of the present, where the sacrifices of those who had walked before them were honored through acts of courage and compassion. The night cradled their dreams, a gentle guardian of their hopes and aspirations. When morning came, the soldiers rose with the sun, ready to continue their journey. The path ahead was still uncertain, but they faced it with a quiet confidence, their hearts buoyed by the knowledge that they were part of a larger story. Each step was a tribute to the enduring spirit of those who dared to dream, a testament to the power of hope and the strength of the human heart. The journey continued, a symphony of courage and determination, guided by the light of dreams and the promise of a brighter tomorrow.